Listen, I don't know about you, but that song pumps me up. I just want to start throwing things around. Gosh, that's the motivation for this week. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is USB. Thank you for joining me today. This is going to be our preview episode for the games coming up for Tooele County. You got Grantsville High School, Tooele High School, and Stansbury High School. Okay, so we're going to get into their matchups. No. I'm excited. I'm excited for this week. I think we're going to see what teams are made of these last couple of games. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. Hey, I hope you guys are having a great day. Let's just kind of get right into it. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the Grantsville Cowboys game first. We'll start with that one since we ended with them last time. We'll start with them this time. Again, this is the review, okay? So the 6-2 Grantsville Cowboys, who are 2-1 in region, they'll be at home against the Union Cougars, who are 2-6 and 1-2 in region. Grantsville's put up 216 points on the season, while Union has put up 147. In the passing game, Cowboys offense is 106 for 228, 1,535 yards, and 17 touchdowns, while Union comes in at 109 for 195, 1,250 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So a little bit better completion percentage there for the Cougars. They're about, 300 yards, roughly? Yeah, about 300 yards behind on the season, and definitely behind on the touchdowns, right? But pretty good completion percentage there. In terms of passing interceptions, Grantsville's thrown 7 on the season, while Union has thrown 9. I don't know, pretty comparable. Pretty comparable there. Nothing too bad. Like I said, I think the biggest thing that stands out there is the completion difference. Not too bad. In the rushing game, we've got the Cowboys coming in with 236 carries for 1,151 yards, while Union comes in with 234 carries, 1,466 yards. So they've got less carries and more yards on the season. Touchdowns, 17 touchdowns for the Cougars, and for whatever reason, I didn't put that down for the Grantsville side, but I want to say it's up around 20. They've got quite a few. Could be wrong, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't write it down. Excuse me. Again, I am feeling better, but I'm still not 100%, so please bear with me with the stuffiness and the random coughing. I do apologize, but hey, it is what it is. In terms of defense, the Grantsville Cowboys come in with 43 tackles for loss, 21 sacks, and 10 interceptions on the season, while the Cougars have 31 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, and 6 interceptions. So Grantsville is definitely more likely to get into that backfield and cause some havoc. So I think that's going to be prominent in this game. The offensive player to watch. Here's what I got for both teams. So for Grantsville, I've got number 32, Jaden Atkinson. And this is assuming he's back off an injury. I don't know the timetable on that. A little birdie told me he's supposed to be back, but in the event that he's not, I have a secondary. But if he is back, I'm looking at Jaden Atkinson to have a big game, because I think the Grantsville offense is going to have to get that run game established. You know, they've struggled in the passing game the last couple of weeks. They really didn't have much of a run game last week. I'm really looking to see that they're gonna emphasize the run. And if I'm Jaden, I'm upset that I didn't play last week, and I'm running hard. I'm running people over. Like, I want everybody to know that I'm on that field if I'm him. So that's what I'm hoping to see out of him. That's why he's my offensive player to watch. The backup though, Murdoch, if he gets the start, or even if it's kind of split, right? So, you know, maybe Jaden's not 100% and they kind of, you know, split the carries or split the load a little bit. Murdoch's gonna need to get it going. He's a good, strong runner. I think his biggest weakness right now is just his initial burst. But once he gets going, he is a tough kid to bring down, a tough young man to bring down. So the running game is going to have to get going, in my opinion, for Grantsville to be successful on offense. So I'm looking at the running back position for sure, and primarily Jaden Atkinson there. For the Cougars, I'm looking at their quarterback, number 10, and I might butcher this name, but I'm going to do my best. Murphy Wadahumagi. I hope I got that right. I'm looking at him just looking at their stats, he's had a pretty good season as passing. Here, I'm trying to remember, and guys, I've been blown up a few too many times, so let me just pull it up so that I don't mess it up. But I'm looking at him to have a good game because, he's got, where's his stats at? I had the whole graphic made, man. What did I do with it? I'm looking at him to have a good game though, because looking at the stats, that's where I think they're getting most of their production is from him, in my opinion. Just it looks like he probably does a lot of quarterback runs. Here we go. So Murphy Wadahamagi, I hope I said that right. He's 109 for 194, 1,250 yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. But he's got 68 carries for 545 yards and 9 touchdowns with 1 fumble. So I'm looking at him to be the biggest impact for that team, because clearly it looks like he scrambles a lot. Probably gets most of those passes are probably out of the pocket on the run. I haven't seen any film, but I'm just basing it off of that. I think he's going to have to continue that if they're going to have a chance against that aggressive Grantsville defense. So I'm looking at him to be able to continue to do that, and hopefully it's a good showing, because I don't know, those types of quarterbacks make for exciting football games, right? It doesn't always pan out, but it does definitely make for an exciting football game. So I'm looking at him. In terms of defense for the Cowboys, I'm looking at the middle linebacker, number 14, Easton Hammond. He's got 36 total tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 1 hurry. The reason I'm looking at him is because I think he's going to have to be the one to keep number 10 in place. He's going to have to keep him in place, in my opinion. So that he's trying to beat him through the air. I think if you let that kid get out and scramble, he's probably going to burn you a few times. So that's who I think is going to have the biggest, I don't want to say the biggest responsibility, but that's who I imagine is probably going to get a brunt of the responsibility. So I'm looking at him to have a good game. Definitely some more add to that tackle for loss total. I think he's going to sniff that out. The Butler kids are doing, Butler young men are doing really good on their sides. So I think the middle is going to be the game changer. This one, stuff and runs, getting that pressure on the quarterback. So the Grantsville defense has got pressure on the quarterback all year long. So I don't see that changing at all. But I'm looking at him to have a bigger impact. He's an impact player for sure. I'm just looking at him to have a little bit of a bigger impact in this game, just because of the scrambling of number 10 there. So that's my defensive player to watch for Grantsville. I do think for Grantsville's defense to be successful, their secondary is really good. They've got a bunch of interceptions this year. I think that they'll be okay to add some pressure, and keep that quarterback in the backfield, or at least in the pocket. So we'll see. But that's who I'm watching for defense. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it's a good outing. For the Cougars, who I've got at defense, is their middle linebacker as well, number 21, Despain. He's got 59 total tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 1 interception. So I'm looking at him because kind of the same reason. I think it's going to be on him to stuff that running game that I feel very confident that Grantsville is going to try to emphasize. He's going to have a big day. He's going to have to do a lot of the fighting in the trenches, I think. So if anybody's going to do it, I think it's probably going to be him. I know that their defensive end is kind of a standout kid. And at first I thought it was a real big, what's his name? Meekum, I think is his last name. He's got 12 sacks on the season. And so I was like, oh, wow, that's insane. Or was it 12 or 8? No, it was 8. I'm sorry. He's got 8 sacks on the season. And so I looked it up real quick, and 5 of them came in the first game. So clearly that was just a mismatch opportunity there. And he's averaged, he's got 3 throughout the rest of the season. So he's obviously a good player. I'm not knocking the kid, the young man. All I'm saying is I thought he was going to be a little bit more impactful than I think he's going to have to be. So that's why I'm looking at Despain, because I think he's definitely going to have to be more impactful on trying to stuff the running game. And that's where I see Union having the best success, is if they can kind of repeat what's happened over the last couple games where the run game's been a little hard to get going. If they could do that, I think they stand a pretty good chance against this Grantsville team. For Grantsville, I think if they get that running game going, get Van Vliet back into a good, comfortable rhythm, I think they stand a very good chance of taking on this team at home. It'll be their senior night. Emotions are going to be high. But I mean, after the loss that the Grantsville had last week, I'm really hoping to see some aggression. Come out there and just knock some heads loose, man. You got to make people. I don't think people are afraid to play you right now. Maybe some schools, but I think you lost a little bit of respect last week, and only say that because of the score. I don't think that they played at a level that wasn't respectable, but I think if people are just looking at the score, they probably lost some respect, right? So I think, Grantsville's got to come out and they've got to be hungry. They've got to be, in a lot of ways, I don't want to say angry, because anger doesn't really lead to great things, but they've got to be aggressive. And that's what I'm hoping to see. If I'm Union, I don't want to play Grantsville right now coming off that loss, because I would feel the same way. Like, these guys got to come out swinging, because I don't think anybody's really questioning them, but I think they're starting to, how do I put this? There's a lot of people out there that are probably quick to be like, see, I told you so, right? And that's what Grantsville's got to shut up this week, in my opinion. They've got to come out there and they've got to be super aggressive. You start ringing some bells. That's my opinion, and that's what I'm hoping to see. It's just aggression, kind of just reasserting themselves, right? And letting everybody know, like, no, we're supposed to be here. This isn't a fluke. This is who we are. Last week was the fluke. You know what I mean? Last week was the outlier. That's what I think that they need to show. And that's what I'm hoping to see. But I'm also hoping to see a good game out of Union. Like I said, it looks like Murphy Wadahamagi, it looks like he's a pretty decent scrambler. That makes for exciting games. I'm curious to see how Grantsville reacts to it, for one. And I don't know. I want to see a good game. That's what I'm hoping to see, is a good game. And I think there's potential for it there. I mean, 2-6, you look at that record and you're like, you don't know what you're talking about. And arguably, I probably don't know what I'm talking about. But, you look at that record and you're like, but looking at these stats, the potential's there. So I think it's going to be a decent game. Union's got 31 tackles for loss, so they're clearly getting in the backfield. They got 12 sacks, 6 interceptions. So defensively, from a stats perspective, they're not having a bad season, and that can make it problematic for Grantsville if they don't go in with aggression, in my opinion. I said it on the recap that, in my opinion, the aggression and the mental intensity was not there last week. So that's what I'm really looking to see. I think if they can come in there with that, they'll be just fine. But I am hoping for a good game. I really am. Obviously we want our teams to win, but blowouts are boring. They're just not enjoyable from a fan perspective. They're probably great for the players, don't get me wrong. But not what I'm looking for. So I'm hoping to see a good game, and I think there's potential for there to be one. But again, I felt that way with Ogden, and but Ogden was a pretty good game, actually. All in all, it was just tough offensively to watch, right? The defenses did a good job in that game. So that's your Grantsville matchup. Again, that game will be this Friday at 7 p.m. at Grantsville High School. The 6-2 Cowboys take on the 2-6 Cougars at 7 p.m. I think I said that already. Again, I've been blown up a few too many times, guys. So that's Grantsville. Okay, moving on. The next game we're going to cover is the Stansbury Stallions, who will be at home. They're 5-3 on the season, 4-0 in region. They're currently ranked first. They'll be playing the Murray Spartans, who are also 5-3, 3-1 in region, and currently ranked third. Murray will be heading to Stansbury after a dominating win over Tooele last week, and Stansbury coming off the coattails of their dominating win against the Huskies. So The Stallions have scored 179 points on the season, while Murray's sitting at 274. In the passing game, the Stallions are 66 for 125, 1,183 yards, and 11 touchdowns, while Murray is sitting at 99 for 166, 1,293 yards, and 11 touchdowns. So pretty comparable there. Actually, very, very comparable there. Yeah. Passing interceptions, Stansbury's thrown 5 on the season. So is Murray. In the rushing game, Stansbury's sitting at 229 carries for 1,275 yards and 14 touchdowns, while Murray is at 278 carries, 1,389 yards, and 19 touchdowns. So again, two offenses with similar stats, very comparable outside of points. Points is the big difference. So let's see. Defensively, this is where it starts to get a little bit lopsided for the Stallions, I think, or for the Spartans. Stansbury's got 9 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, and 11 interceptions on the season, while Murray comes in with 47 tackles for loss, 18 sacks, and 9 interceptions. So that defense is getting there quickly. That could be problematic, I think. I think that could be very problematic for the Stallions. It definitely was for Tooele. You know, the Spartans defense held Tooele with a dominating running attack all season. They held them and really made it tough for them. So that could be very problematic for the Stallions. The offensive player to watch, again, let me pull up my stats so I'm not just trying to remember off my memory, because we all know it's not there. The offensive player to watch for Stansbury, in my opinion, is going to be the quarterback, number 4, Dearden. He's 54 for 105 for 105 attempts, 875 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. But it's his carries at 43 for 272 yards and 3 touchdowns that I think that they're going to have to rely upon, because again, that defense is clearly getting in the backfield. They're quick, aggressive. So I think he's going to have to scramble out. And watching some of the plays that he did against Hillcrest last week, he's got some serious scrambling skills. So I'm looking at him to have a huge impact and kind of will his team to a victory. And that's assuming that the defense does what they're supposed to do, right? And we'll get into that in just a second. For the Spartans, the offensive player to watch that I have is the running back, number 2, Pearson, I think. Pearson, Pehrson. I think it's Pearson. It's just spelled in the way I'm not familiar with. I could be wrong. I apologize if I am. He's got 167 carries on the year for 1,000 yards. Congratulations to him. That's an accomplishment in my opinion. 16 touchdowns and 1 fumble. So he doesn't put the ball on the ground very often. I mean, one time all year, he's got in the end zone 16 times. He's rushed for 1,000 yards. I think he's going to be their go-to. And Stansbury's going to have to, try to put a hurting on him in the run game. And so for that, I've got the outside linebacker, number 6, Wilson. He's got 31 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. So I think he's going to have to continue to try to get there. If he can have a big day disrupting that backfield, I think that's really going to help Stansbury out immensely. Just watching the game that Murray had last week against Tooele, they took a play out of Tooele's book, and it was just hard charge running. So in my opinion, the run defense for the Stallions is going to have to be on its A game. Keep Pearson and the rest of those running backs and receivers and stuff like that, keep them at low yardage, and I think that that's going to be their best chance for success. In terms of the Spartans, the defensive player that I have for them is their defensive lineman, number 30, and I'm going to butcher this one, Ketchoyan, Ketchoyan. Ketchoyan. Again, apologies if I butchered it too bad, but I'm looking at him, number 30. He's got 38 total tackles on the season, 9.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, 11 quarterback hurries, and 1 interception. I think he's going to have to get in the backfield and put a lot of pressure on Dearden. I don't know if Stansbury's normally operating off that quarterback rotation every other sequence, or if that was just something they did last week. I don't see that being super effective for him this week. So I'm looking for Dearden to probably get a majority of the snaps, mainly because of his scrambling ability. I said it in the recap. I was really impressed with Rutzel. He came in and he had some really great passes. What was it, 3 touchdowns? I think it was. But I think they're going to need that scrambling skill a lot more in this game. So I'm looking for Dearden to probably get more of the snaps. If that is something that they normally do, I think it's going to kind of lean a little bit more towards Dearden getting a majority of them, but we'll see. We'll see. And I don't know. It's going to be an exciting matchup because Stansbury is number 1 in region right now, and Murray defensively, Murray did a very good job against Tooele. Now, to counter that a little bit, Tooele doesn't have a passing game. So, maybe that's somewhere where Stansbury can exploit that. I don't know. I haven't seen enough Murray film. But their run defense is clearly good. So if we're not going to air it out, you got to get creative on the ground. I don't know. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I'm super excited to see it. I might go see the JV game today, assuming there is one. I hope there's one. I'm going to try to find out. Because these guys play on Thursday. The Stallions take on the Spartans on Thursday at 7 p.m. That's why I'm doing the review now, because earlier in the week I saw that Tooele and Stansbury's games were on Thursdays. So I'm assuming their JV game should be today, and it should be here in Murray. So I might go see that just because I'm curious. My nephew plays on that team anyways. I just don't usually go to the away ones, but it should be close enough to me that I might go see that today. So I might have some added perspective on some things. But again, I mean, JV and varsity, you can't always use the two, obviously, as what to look forward to. But I think that there's some things that you can see. Last week when I was watching the Morgan Grantsville JV game, I could tell that the way that they work their linebackers, they like to blitz them, which I guess everybody does really, right? But there was just certain things about the way that they were doing it that I was like, oh, okay, I bet you I'm going to see some of that in the JV game, or in the varsity game, excuse me, and sure as can be, you did. So I think there's certain things you could take away, but obviously like play sets and things like that, they're not going to be the same. But either way, looking for a good matchup out of that. It's 2 5-3 teams. Murray's looking to move up in those rankings for sure. I don't know that it's going to happen unless they win this game. But Stansbury's looking to stay perfect 4-0 in their region. So good luck to them. Good luck to Murray. I'm hoping for a good game there. I think we're going to see probably a little bit more passing from the Stallions. So hopefully they're ready. And probably just more of the same rushing from Murray. So we shall see. Good luck to them. That is your Stansbury Stallions. Again, the Stansbury Stallions who are 5-3, taking on the 5-3 Murray Spartans at home in Stansbury on Thursday, the 10th of October at 7 p.m. So if you're there, check it out. If not, you should be able to catch it on either one of the team's huddles. Probably Stansbury's huddle because it's a home game. So be sure to check it out. Show them some support. Good luck, guys. And can't wait to see all the stats and all the talk for the recap. All right. And getting into the last game that we're going to talk about today, the Tooele Buffaloes, who are 4-4, currently 3-1 in region, sitting in 4th place. They will be on the road against the Park City Miners, who are 7-1 and 4-1 in their regions, currently sitting in 2nd. Their only loss coming to Stansbury, who's in 1st place in that region. So the Buffaloes have 241 points on the season. They're 25 for 49, 550 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. And they have 405 carries for 2,472 yards and 25 touchdowns. That's the offensive stats for Tooele. As for Park City, they are sitting at 279 points on the season. They are 72 for 132, 1,130 yards and 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So definitely a better passing attack there. Rushing attack for the Miners is 262 carries. 2,026 yards, and 30 touchdowns. So they're pretty comparable on about 60% of the rushes. So that's an interesting stat to see. In terms of defense, Tooele comes into this game with 31 tackles for loss, 15 sacks, and 9 interceptions, while Park City comes in with 38 tackles for loss, 25 sacks, and 9 interceptions. So pretty comparable there. More sacks for the Miners. That could be problematic, except for the fact that Tooele likes to run the ball 90% of the time. So interesting stat to see there. Let's get into the offensive players to watch. All right, let me find my notes real fast. Okay. The offensive player to watch for Tooele that I've got is Clarkson, number 11, the running back. Clarkson, I think I said that right. He's got 80 carries for 418 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 fumbles. But he's also got 14 receptions for 233 yards and 3 touchdowns. So that's why he's my offensive player to watch. You know, he's not the leading rusher for the team by any means. They've got about probably 2 or 3 kids ahead of him. But he's doing really good. And when I was watching the playback last week, he did a lot of things running the ball that I thought were done really well. But the reason I'm looking at him is because, like I've said for Tooele every single week, I think that they're going to have to pass the ball a little bit. So I'm looking for him to get some receptions and make an impact in the receiving game as well as the running game. And that's why I've got him up there. I'm hoping he has a good game. Because again, I think for Tooele to be successful, they're going to have to get away from 90% of run plays and get that quarterback a little bit more involved to ease it up for him, because I don't see Park City in particular allowing them to just rush the ball. You know, the Spartans held Tooele to under, I think it was under 200 yards, or was it 200? I think so. Or yeah, I don't remember. But they held Tooele's rushing game to pretty low numbers, and they really put a whooping on them. You know, they still got their touchdowns, but definitely nothing like they're accustomed to seeing. So I still feel like the passing game has got to get involved for Tooele to be successful. They seem to have a pretty good field goal kicker, so, you know, get them into range, utilize them some more maybe. But I think for them to be successful and come away with the win, the quarterback's going to have to get the ball in the air, and I'm looking for Clarkson to be a big part of that. Maybe some short throws out of the backfield, something. I'm looking for him to be more involved there. So he's my offensive player to watch for Tooele. As far as Park City's concerned, I've got their wide receiver / running back, number 5, Warner. He's got 89 carries on the season, 834 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 2 fumbles. But he's also got 24 receptions for 337 yards and 3 touchdowns. So this is a dual threat player. I think they're going to utilize him heavily against the Buffalo's defense that I don't know is very good against the pass. I think they do pretty well against the run for the most part, but I think in the passing game I haven't seen enough to make a fair assessment to be fair. But looking at statistics, that seems to be where they're the weakest on defenses against the pass. So I'm looking for this young man to have a pretty big impact in this game. Defensively, for the Buffaloes, I've got the middle linebacker, number 22, Barrett. He's sitting at 79 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hurry, and 1 interception. I think he's going to have to continue to stuff the run. He's going to have a big game there, and make them beat them in the air, and hopefully they're ready for it. You know, he's already proven he can get some interceptions too, so he can clearly pass or drop into coverage and be effective there. So I'm looking for him to have a huge impact. And really what I'm looking for is I'm thinking he's going to have to be the motivator for the rest of the defense. He's going to have to set the tone. You know, like I said with the Grantsville preview, I'm looking for aggression from this team as well. You know, they got smacked in the mouth last week, and they've got to bounce back, and they're going against a very good team this week. So, you know, much like Stansbury, nobody expected Stansbury to beat Park City. I mean, maybe a few people, but a majority of people probably did not expect that. And the way that they were able to do is they held Park City to their lowest rushing gain on the season. They beat them. So I'm looking for this defense to really apply some pressure on that rushing game, make them beat you in the air, hold down the fort. That's what I'm looking for, and I think he's going to be a key factor in that. But again, I'm looking for aggression from this team and Grantsville in particular, but I'm looking for it from Stansbury as well because they got to keep going. They're going against a good Murray defense. So aggression all the way around. But for this team coming off the loss that they had last week, I think that they're going to need that aggression more than ever. You're going to have to take the points as you can get them. Maybe see how far that range is for the kicker. I want to say his name's Wilcox. He follows the Instagram. I think he's the kicker. I could be completely wrong on that. But maybe get him in, see what his range is, get you some extra points on the board. And I think you stand a fighting chance against Park City. You just you gotta out tough and you gotta smack them around a little bit and let them know that you mean business. And I think you'll be okay. Cause they're definitely going to try to do that to you. So you might as well do it to them. That's where I sit on that. That is your recap for the Tooele Buffaloes. That game again will be in Park City. If you're around their JV game, assuming they have one, I'm going to reach out to my cousin. His kid plays on the JV team there. But if you have the availability, they should be playing there today in Tooele around 4 p.m., I believe. So hopefully, I'll let you know if you want. Reach out to me, message me. So that's the Tooele recap. That's what we got. So, yeah, good luck to those young men in Tooele. Good luck to Park City as well. Again, I like to see good football, and I personally feel like all three of the matchups this week could be good games. But they also all have potential to be blowouts, I think. I don't know if there's an in-between. I think it's either going to be a good game or a blowout. I don't think it's going to be like it was an okay game. Like, it was up and down, blah, 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 whatever, right? I think it's either going to be a tight game because of the defenses or it's going to be a blowout because of the defenses. So, or maybe even the offenses because, Grantsville's offense has struggled. So, if they can't turn that around, it could be a blowout in the other way. But I think this week the defenses are going to be critical in all three games. It's probably more so in Tooele and Stansbury than Grantsville, but definitely in the Tooele and Stansbury game, defenses are going to have to be on their A game. They're going to need to be aggressive. Go show these guys who you are. Go show them who you are. Take that respect. Earn it. Go hit them in the mouth. All those things apply, in my opinion. But hey, it's a new age. A lot different, right? So I understand that. That's why I don't shout things like that from the sidelines. But I do still feel that it's important. Aggression is important to a degree, I believe. And that's what I didn't see from from Grantsville and Tooele last week. So I'm looking for it this week. Stansbury, they're doing good, but they've got a big matchup, and I think it's very important for them to stay in first place for them to win this game. And I'm sure they know that. So good luck to Tooele. Again, they will be on the road. The 4-4 Tooele Buffaloes will be on the road against the Park City Miners, who are 7-1. Up there in Park City on Thursday at 7 p.m. You should be able, I don't know, this is kind of like an inside joke, I guess, if you live around here, but, it's Park City. So maybe they only have like pay to watch streaming services. They seem, they're classy like that sometimes. But they should have a huddle, I think, and you should be able to catch the game there. So good luck, gentlemen. And, hopefully the recap is a positive one. Even, win, lose, or draw. Hopefully it's a positive one. And I think it can be. You just got to be tough, go out there and grind it out. So that is the preview. I hope you enjoyed it. Good luck to all three teams moving forward into the rest of the season. But obviously this week, good luck to them. Go out there, have great games, do great things, and be great people. And until next time, guys, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you later.